I thank you for choosing Train Up a Child Primary School, teacher Katimbo Richard, teaching mathematics, P.6. Today I'm starting percentages, which is part of fraction of the subtopic among subtopics of fractions. And typically this lesson covers pages 40 all the way to 46 of our book come to. So for the same pages that 40 all the way to 46. You find the percentages. Now the question is, what does the word percent mean? The word percent is from two words. Per, it means each or every. Then cent means 100. So percent means every 100. Percent means every 100 or each 100. So we are looking at that. So percent means each 100. For example, we shall have percentages like 25%. It's the symbol of percentage. 50%, 30%, 80%, and so on. You will note that all percentages are fractions. For example, when given 25% to be written as a fraction, 25 out of 100. Then 30%, 30 out of 100. 50%, 50 out of 100. So they are within the percentage, within the fraction topic, and the continuation of fraction. So now we are going to look at how one day the percentages to work out. So the common questions about percentages. Number one, question number one reads, write 50% as a simplified fraction. Write 50% as a simplified fraction. So 50% as outlined before. Now we are going to simplify it or reduce it. First we cancel by 10, where 50 by 10 you get a 5. Cancel this period. Then 100 by 10 you get 10. When 5 out of 100. So 5 out of 10. So 5 out of 10 can further be reducible by 5. 5 by 5 once, 10 by 5 2. So you get 102 or a half. So 50% as a simplified fraction means a half. As we look at the second example, there is express 22.5% as a reduced fraction. Express 22.5% as a reduced fraction. Like we've seen, 50% means 50 out of 100. 62.5% also means 62.5 out of 100. It should be noted that out of means divided by. So that means 62.5 divided by 100. So again, you must know any whole number of the fraction is out of 1. So we convert this fraction to unequal fraction by multiplying the denominator by whole number plus numerator out of denominator. That's 2 times 62. 2 times 62. You get 124. 124 plus 1, you get 125 out of 2. Then divide by 100 out of 1, because any whole number is out of 1. So when you are working out the division of fractions, you take the number to be divided by, or the divisor, you then reciprocate it on changing the division sign to multiplication. It's the one I'm going to do now. 125 out of 2 times 1 out of 100. Then we start looking out for the common divisors as we divide. We first divide by 5. Where 10 divided by 5 is a 2 and 0 divided by 5 is a 0. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. Then 125 is also going to be divided by 5. So 12 divided by 5 is a 2, remainder 2. Now, the 25 25 divided by 5 is 25. 125 divided by 5 is 25. Now, you will be remaining 25 times 1 out of 2 times 20. You want to transfer here, and then 20 and 25 are also divisible by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4, 25 divided by 5 is 5. So remaining 5 times 1 out of 2 times 4. So 5 times 1 is 5, and 2 times 4 8. So 5 out of 8 is the answer. So 22.5% as a reduced fraction is 5 out of 8. Following that procedure, we'll be able to answer the questions about converting percentages to fractions. Then let's see fractions to percentages. So, example number 3 expresses 450 as a percentage. Question says express 4 out of 5 as a percentage. So whenever I have a fraction to be converted to a percentage, what you must do is to multiply it by 100%. So because the climax of percentage is 100%, or the greatest percentage is a full one, which is 100%. Say 4 out of 5 is 100%. So by 5, get ones. By 5, that's 10, you get 2. 0 by 5, you get 0. Then 4 times 20 is 80%. So 450 is expressed as a percentage, you get 80%. As we look at another form of fraction, which is a decimal, this has been a common fraction to percentage. Now express a decimal as a percentage. So write 0.3 as a percentage. So we shall note that we say 0.3 as another form of fraction which is common, the R of 10. So it's the same as expressing the R of 10 as a percentage. So write the R of 10 times 100%. That will lead to the 4 out of 5. So now we cancel by 10. 10 by 10 get 1. 100 by 10 get 10. Thereby remaining with 3 times 10, which is 30%. So 0.3 as a percentage is the same as talking about 30%. So that's how we express that. Then you will be told to express a percentage as a decimal or in a decimal form. Remember, decimal is that number that contains a point. So the 1 to 1 is a point, and then you call it a day. So go express 10% as a decimal. Remember, 10% as a fraction of 10 out of 100. So you write it here, then cancel, divide by 10. By 10, you get 1. 100 by 10, you get 10. Remember a 10. A decimal means a 10 is 0.1. So 1 out of 10 is the same as 0.1 because both are read as a 10. When you're told by these words, 1 out of 10, you say a 10 or 1/10. So it's also 1/10. So the fact being that you want a decimal, the answer must go 0.1. That regard. What about when I've got a decimal fractional percentage written as a decimal fraction just 11%? Like you see number 6. This is the way you are going to work it out. They will say write 1.2% as a decimal fraction, just a decimal fraction. This is a decimal percentage. You want a decimal fraction out of it. So you will note that 1.2% means 1.2 out of 100. 1.2 out of 100. Which 1.2 out of 100 is the same as 1.2 divided by 100. And remember, 1.2 alone as a fraction with the numerator and denominator is 12 out of 10. That's why I wrote here 12 out of 10 divided by this percentage, which is 100 out of 1. Remember, 100 as a fraction is 100 out of 1. So 12 out of 10 divided by 100 out of 1. Then you go division 10 to multiplication, and these divides are reciprocated or written upside down. So write 12 out of 10 times 1 out of 100. Then multiply the numerators alone, then later the denominator. So 12 times 1 get 12, and 10 times 100 get 1,000. So thereby getting 4,000 or 12 out of 1,000. And the fact being that we have got 3 zeros onto 1, those 3 zeros written against 1 make the number of decimal places we shall have in the same decimal fraction. So we shall have 1, 2, 3 decimal places or digits after point. So I've got 2 already, 1 and 2, meaning 0 will leave. That's why I've got 0.012 as the same decimal fraction, arising from 1.2%. So that's how we deal with a decimal percentage being converted to a decimal fraction. So for that order, we'll be able to answer all the questions that are concerning decimal percentages being turned into the decimal fractions. As we look at the next example, each example here has an activity with answers. So look at it and then you follow which to answer accordingly. This one asks us to write 2 to 5 as a percentage. So writing ratio as a percentage. Remember, ratios are fractions, like we said or noted in the previous lesson. So which fraction is equivalent to 2 to 5? This ratio that is 2 out of 5. So 2 to 5, the fraction is 2 out of 5. The same as expressing 2 out of 5 as a percentage. You only need to multiply it by 100%. You say 2 out of 5 times 100%, where you divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is the 1, 10 divided by 5 is the 2, 0 divided by 5 is the 0, remaining 2 times 20%. Which 2 times 20 is 40, then answer percent, because they are saying express that ratio as a percentage. So to respond to the percentage, put the percentage symbol and nothing else. As we look at example number 8, it's about expressing percentages and ratios. So where we've got that subheading or subtopic expressing percentages and ratios, this is the example to that kind of that topic. Say express 50% as a ratio. Remember 50% as a fraction out of 100, right? 50 out of 100, then reduce that fraction by 10, then 5 by 10 by 10. Then 5 out of 10, divide by 5, 5 divided by 5 is 1, and then 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 50% of the fraction first is a half, or 1 out of 2. Then write 1 out of 2 as the ratio. The answer is 1 to 2, as you see there. So ensure you answer in accordance with the requirements of the question. Then you will be very perfect. As we look at example number 9, then there is if 28% of the pupils in a class go home for lunch, what percent remains in the school? If 28% of the pupils in a school go home for lunch, what percentage remains in the school? You must know, like we noted, that the greatest percentage of this plan is 100%. The greatest normal percentage is 100%. Then, if one or two pieces or two sectors of the pupils in the school, for those who go for lunch and those who remain. So then those 2 percentages or 2 portions, when added, make the whole school population. So therefore, we get 100%, which is altogether minus the 28% that go for lunch. So you get 100% minus 28% and do subtract normally, that is 100 minus 28. Do borrow because you must. So borrow 1 from 10 and remain with a 9, thereby remaining making 10. 10 minus 8 you get a 2, and the 9 minus 2 you get 7. So 72% of the pupils in the school don't actually go for lunch. They remain. They don't go home for lunch, so they remain at school. So you get 100% minus the other person given and get the other portion. 100% the normal percentage, then minus those who go home, then those that remain, make 72% of the school population. And that's how we answer that one. As we continue as we look at example number 10. On a shamba, 20% of the crops are coffee trees and 25% are banana trees. Hey, what percentage is left for other crops? So this one related to number 9, you must know that the percent is 100%. So meaning the whole shamba means the full 100%. So it is simplified into 3 sectors. But both 20% which are coffee trees and then 25% which make banana trees. Then you have got the other sector which is for left for other crops. So you get 100% minus the other 2 percentages. That is one for coffee trees, another one for banana trees. So those 2 percentages combined. So 100% minus 3 is combined. Combination means 100. Means a plus sign of addition. So 100% minus into 20% plus 25%. Where 20% plus 25% is 45%. So the coffee trees and banana trees make a total percentage of 45%. So you get 100% minus 45%, you will get 55%, which is left for other crops. So that's how we deal with more than 2 sectors. In number 9, you have 2 sectors. So people that go out for that and those who don't. Here I've got 3 sectors. That is the percentage for coffee trees, that of banana trees, and then other crops. So you get 100% minus the combination of the 2 given, which is 20%, added to the 25%, get 45%. When you subtract, you get 55%, which is a percentage for other crops. That's how we answer that one. And then the last example for this lesson about percentages, and later I'll send the application from number 9 all the way to number 11. So we shall read. It reads, there are 10% more men than women in the meeting. 100% of each of them. That is the main percentage as well as the women. So it reads again, there are 10% more men than women in the meeting. Find the percentage of each of them, that is men and women. Now, when you're given such a number, you then must note that there is the word more here. So 10% more men than women, meaning no percent is given. This is the percentage difference between the men's and the women's. So women's percentage that is. So therefore, we then look onto another topic called algebra. So algebra in fractions. So this is what's called integration of topics. The fact being that we don't have any of the 2, that is men's percentage as well as the women's, we then bring in algebra. Algebra in fractions. So we then suggest who are fewer or who attended, who are fewer in the meeting. There were women. That's why we say let the percentage of women be M. In algebra, it's better to propose or to say that for those that are fewer. So who are fewer in the meeting? Those are the women. So therefore you say let the women's percentage or let the percentage of women be M. So that when women make M%, then men are more by 10%. So you get the percentage of women are 10%, you will get the men's. So in so doing, you will have the word more. So if women fewer or less by 10%, and they make M, then the men are more by 10% from the women's percentage. If the women are M, then the men are more. Give them 10% more. That's M plus 10%. So remember, when women and men are together in the same meeting, they make the total percentage which are 100%. So thereby adding this women's percentage and men's percentage to 100% to form an algebraic equation as M plus 10% equals 100%. It's the one we have here, M plus 10%, which is equal to 100%. Then you simplify these two M's, which are like terms. M plus M, you get 2M plus 10% to 100%. Then you start solving that algebraic equation. 2M plus 10% minus 10% equals 100% minus 10%. Where 100 minus 10, both are percentages, they lead to 90%. So 2M equal to 90%. We divide both sides by 2. So 2M divided by 2 equals 90 divided by 2. Where 90 when divided by 2, you get 45%. So M equals 45%. Now the question is, what percentage, or find the percentage of each of them. That is women's percentage as well as men's. So we go women's percentage. M, according to our formation, with M is 45%. That's one of the examples, one of the answers. Then we are left with one other answer, men's percentage. That is M plus 10%, which M is got as 45%. So we get 45% plus 10%. So then men constitute 55%. So if you want to prove, you add 45 and 55 and see whether you make 100%. And then they are saying 10% more men than women. So you check whether 55 minus 45 is after an excess of 10%. So the men outweigh the women, or are more by 10% compared to women. So that is how we deal with the application of that particular category. So that's how we answer, and we shall answer all the work from the same pages of 40 all the way to 46 of our workbook concerning percentages. I'm very sure if you watch and follow every example, you will be able to answer as many as 6, if not 8. This is not the exercise. For activities you have on in your workbook, that's from page 40 all the way to page 46. Teacher Katimbo Richard, for more information about the same or mathematics in general, call this teacher Katimbo on this MTN line 077-625-1655. You can as well use 07572 330 or Airtel subscribers. Otherwise, that is the end of the lesson. We can move to the next episode. Stay safe.